What does it really take to completely change the face of a state? Well, today we're going to find out. We're jumping back in time to the early 20th century to see how Virginia went through this massive shift from a world of quiet farms to one of absolutely buzzing cities. And this isn't just about buildings or new machines. It's a story about people and what drove them to build a totally new future. Just look at this scene. This is Granby Street in Norfolk, right around 1935. You can almost feel the energy, right? You can hear the hum of the streetcars, see the crowds of people. This is a perfect snapshot of the new Virginia that was emerging. It was vibrant, it was modern, and it was quickly replacing the old way of life. So that's the big question, isn't it? How did this incredible transformation happen? What was the spark that turned quiet fields into busy factories and dirt roads into paved city streets? That's exactly what we're going to dig into. Okay, so to really get a handle on this change, we've got to start at the beginning. Let's step back into what life was like in early 1900s Virginia, where for generations, pretty much everything revolved around the land. And it's hard to really picture this now, but back then, Virginia was overwhelmingly a state of farmers. Your whole life was tied to the land. The rhythm of your day, your year, it was all set by the seasons and the sun. And that brings us to our first keyword, rural. When we say something is rural, we just mean it has to do with the countryside, not the town. And in the early 1900s, that's where the vast majority of Virginians called home. But even out in the quiet countryside, things were starting to change. This picture, this is the start of a revolution. Machines like this tractor were beginning to do the work that horses and mules had done for centuries. Suddenly, you could farm more land with way less effort. It was a total game changer. And all this new efficiency, it wasn't just about making life easier. It was about making more money. Farmers could grow more than ever, crop prices were going up, and they were even branching out into new things like potatoes and peanuts. The farm was becoming a real business. But let's be real, even with these new machines, life was still incredibly tough. I mean, can you imagine living without electricity? Most rural homes didn't get it until the late 1930s. No lights, no modern conveniences. It was a hard life, and it's not surprising that people started dreaming of something different. So, if the hardships of farm life were kind of pushing people away, what was pulling them in? Well, that would be the powerful magnet of Virginia's growing cities. And this right here, this was the promise of the city. Look at that Norfolk skyline in the early 1900s. For someone coming from a small, isolated farm, a city like this must have looked like another planet, a whole world of possibilities. Which brings us to our next keyword, the opposite of rural, urban. If rural is the countryside, urban is all about the city or town. And back then, the city was definitely where the action was. I mean, the city just offered a completely different way to make a living. Yeah, there were factory jobs, but there was also work in stores, banks, and hotels. And it wasn't just the big cities. Even smaller mining communities were popping up, offering a new kind of opportunity for anyone willing to leave the farm behind. And the scale of this move was just wow. Take a look at this number. By 1920, nearly a third of all Virginians were living in cities. Think about that. That's a massive shift in a really short amount of time. It was like a demographic earthquake, and it was just getting started. So, you have to ask, what was the engine driving all of this incredible change? What force was powerful enough to totally remake Virginia's landscape? The answer, really, comes down to one word: technology. And here's our last key vocab word: technology. Now, what do we really mean by that? It's not just about gadgets. Technology is really any tool or idea that we use to solve problems and meet our needs. And in the early 20th century, new technology was changing absolutely everything. Technology was basically shrinking the world. I mean, think about the telephone. First in Richmond, then Norfolk. You could suddenly talk to someone miles away like they were right there. And in the cities, electric streetcars meant you could live in one part of town and work in a totally different one. It created a whole new urban lifestyle. And this slide really says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the tractor, revolutionizing the farm. On the other, the streetcar, revolutionizing the city. Technology wasn't just changing one little piece of Virginia, it was reshaping the entire state, all at once. So, after all this upheaval, what was the end result? What did this new, remade Virginia actually look like? Well, for starters, the cities became the new hubs of everything. They were the centers of commerce and prosperity. It's where the money was, where the big decisions were being made, and where the future of the state was literally being built, one brick at a time. So let's just put it side by side. The old Virginia was rural, horse-powered, and agricultural. The new Virginia, it was a state of growing cities, powered by machines, with a diverse economy, all connected by technology. It was, in just about every way, a brand new world. But it's so important to remember the people behind all this. This quote really gets to the heart of it. This transformation wasn't just something that happened to people. They were the ones driving it. They wanted better roads, better schools, they wanted a better life, and they worked hard to make that happen. So, what can we take away from all this? 100 years ago, it was things like the tractor and the telephone that were changing the world. Today, it's the internet, smartphones, and AI. The specific tech might be different, but the story of change is exactly the same. Which really makes you wonder, what kind of world are we building with the tools we have right now?